So YouTube recommended me this video, and that's a train. I was going to record myself, pause, like with that fucking train, but the hotkeys don't work. So I'm just gonna do this all in one take. You kidding me? You kidding me? Okay, so no pausing, no nothing. We're just gonna go here, okay? It's just gonna be me and you, or whatever. So YouTube recommended me this video, and I watched it, but what got me is the comments, as there's a lot of 106, but you know, whatever. 106 comments. People talking about their coming out as trans, and a lot of it's sad. Which is why I'm going over it here. You know, just to share people's experiences. I blurred their names, so you can't see their names, except for the person who made the video, but you know, just for safety sakes, I guess. But I'm just going to read these because I think it's important to kind of just look at the bad with the good, you know, coming out as trans, you know, that's being someone different than what most people like. So when you try to be yourself, when you try to come out to people you trust and love, some things happen, and it's kind of sad. And I just want to kind of share these comments of these stories because there's a lot of them. And this is, of course, this is just a small fraction. This is just some YouTubers' comments, but you know, it kind of paints a sad picture, I guess, about the state of the world. So when Nyara came out, she talked about how her family kind of mistreated her, especially her mother, and that's unfortunate. And of course, this one comment says, like, have you ever thought about showing your family the nasty messages that people want you dead for being trans? And yeah, she's got a lot of that because she's called out like more popular people, and of course they're filled with hate, and that's all they know what to do. So, but he's like, have you maybe sent that to your mother? Because I can't imagine any parent would be fine with that. But sometimes that's just not enough sometimes, sadly. This guy has a better outlook, or at least better parents here. I'm not sure I've mentioned to my parents I'm agender, to be honest. But I don't really feel the need to. I know how they'd respond. They'd be slightly confused at this new term they're not familiar with. My mom will ask if this is like being bisexual or if it's something else, and my dad might think he gets it, but will probably still be kind of off. If closer to the truth than my mom, but mostly they won't care much. They'll be cool with it, and that's good to hear, you know. Sometimes it's not a big deal to people, and that's way better than being angry at your own parents. I might tell them at some point if I want to cause another discussion of what all of this means at the dinner table, but unless I'm feeling particularly chaotic one evening, there's just no need for it, because my parents are pretty cool. And here we go. Now we're starting. Welcome back. You know, had to come out to my parents on the 3rd of May, not by choice, but because I was actively getting thrown out of my father's house. Right now, my mother is still concerned, wants to know if I am fully sure I'm trans, but she's doing her best to make sure I can live on my own. This sucks. So many sad stories. My family just supported me. The world would be better for us in the future. Stay strong, my sisters and brothers, and you know, It's slowly getting better. We still have a lot to go. Of course, it's hit a snag because the rich want a scapegoat and they found it, and it's working. It always works. I became homeless when I came out, so not the best. Yeah, that's really sad here. When I came out to my family, my parents were and still are skeptical of me and almost moved forward as if nothing happened, suggesting I buy another suit for a wedding, for example. And when they shout at me for depressive behavior, they use more male gendered language against me to provoke me purposely. They send concerned messages to my doctor that I might be self-medicating HRT, which I don't. By well, if the medical system doesn't help me and prescribe me at a respectable time frame, which my doctor seems to fully understand. Because sometimes, especially countries in the world like the UK, they'll purposely not give you HRT for like years. And some kids that go through that kill themselves. So, at least my big burly brother, while very confused about it, seems to want to understand me and support me. He even said since he goes under the counter illegal testosterone due to low T levels and how it makes him dysfunctional depressed, that he can get me E from a good source if it gets too bad for me. That's based. And yeah, whether it be like this HRT isn't just a trans thing, right? Men need it for testosterone. In fact, one of my doctors was like, "You're low on T. What if you get more T?" And I didn't like that, and I didn't even know that about trans. Well, I did, but you know, it didn't come out. It wasn't a thing that I thought about, but I knew that I didn't want more testosterone. That's for sure. But now I'm taking estrogen. That's how it goes. But yeah, men need it because it's a necessary thing, and sometimes your body doesn't give you the right things. Like women need it, especially when they get older. You know? It isn't just a trans thing, HRT. A lot of people need the T's and E's. My grandmother did nothing but tell me, "You'll never be a woman. You can't have periods. You can't have babies. You're just a man in makeup." And I still feel like shit anytime I try to transition. It's like if you don't fit the role, you don't fit any role. It's like, I got so lucky. My mom was confused at first, but generally supported, even unintentionally say things that hurt. Like, there would have been signs, among other things, which I couldn't speak to her for like 3 days, despite living in her house. I wrote another letter, explaining how what she said hurt like hell, and some things she said were factually inaccurate, and after that, she's been supportive. And my brother was absolutely golden. I wrote him a whole letter about it, and his very first response was, "Finally, I figured it out 2 years ago," which shocked me and was so incredibly amazing. Yeah, some people know, but I don't tell you, because, you know, it's about self-discovery. You just kind of gotta learn that yourself. Hearing about other people not being accepted by their families really makes me appreciate my own and how lucky I got. Sorry for those of you with unsupportive families. I hope you all find people in real life who appreciate and deserve you. That's really all we hope for. My family misgenders me daily, and if I say that I don't want to be called that, it gets downplayed or it's my fault. Just don't see them as a family member, which is really sad. It's genuinely terrifying to me. I want to tell my family so bad, My sister's the only one who knows. But my dad has been on multiple tirades where he genuinely advocates for the genocide of all trans people. So I'm not telling him anytime soon. I've been struggling. I'm working at McDonald's. My mom never accepted it, so I hid it until now, and I'm working trying to save up to transition now after her death. Just imagine that. You'd have to, like, you can't be yourself for the sake of others, which isn't really real love. You know, you're just pretending to be someone for them because they can't handle the real you, you know? I was always rejecting my femininity because I was bullied for anything feminine. And now, after a very successful medical transition, I'm an attractive, cis-passing woman. And I am still struggling with internalized transphobia. Not allowing myself to be the woman everyone sees me as and expects me to behave like. Like they treat me as if it's my fault I haven't grown up as an attractive woman, and that my fuck-ups and me getting harassed is my own fault. I dread coming out to my family as bi, because I know I'm getting cut off. You're a brave bean friend. Yeah, just something as simple as being bi, which is like gay but not entirely gay, you know. Of course, you're attracted to both genders. And then there's the, what's it called? Pansexual, which is basically that, but all specific genders. They're practically the same thing, but you'd think in this day and age, just saying you're gay wouldn't get you this hated, but it's apparently the world's not as accepting as we once thought it was, or the way we envisioned it. In high school, there was a lot of people wearing lipstick for my school. Granted, it was for goth and emo outfits, but they still wore makeup. I didn't think of it all that, really. It was just their personality. Yeah, it's just like seen things like people have been goth and emo, but even them, you know, they get made fun of by specific people, and sometimes they make fun of specific people back. It's just like, but if you think about it, like, people fucking express themselves in any different manner of ways, not even just gender sakes. Beautiful ladies, handsome lads, perfect enemies, or anything in between. Just remember you are valid. That's nice. Weirdly, these kinds of things had sort of the opposite effect on me. I generally learned something was feminine and I'd avoid it because apparently it's not okay for me to be feminine based on observation. And sometimes you'd be laughed at. But I long so much to wear cat ear headbands or paint my nails or do anything I learned was feminine. At one point, after I learned I was trans, my friends started jokingly bullying me for being feminine. And I'd be like, but that's not true for this reason and that. And they just argue against me, and it was so gender affirming. Imagine that, being bullied for being trans, but in the positive way? Question mark. Now I'm free to be myself, and I'm too scared to go to the store and to like buy a choker or a skirt. I need a friend with me every time I go dress shopping, because now it's changed from I shouldn't do it because others don't to I don't feel safe when I'm looking at woman clothes or even just present in the women's section. And yeah, it's starting to get that way where even conventionally unattractive women, if the wrong person sees them going in the bathroom, they get beat. Like, there's been several cases now where women are beaten in bathrooms or arrested or screamed at. And of course, some trans people are like stabbed to death in the middle of a park. It's kind of, yeah. And of course, 701, I don't know specifically what she talked about, but that seems super common. Like, even my friends who have no clue what's going on or are somehow really ignorant to this stuff despite, whoa, being teenagers. Sorry. Still try their best and are better than my family. I'll do that when talking about our past. It happens less, but it's so weird and somewhat hurtful when I see them hesitate mid-thought, decide to demean or misgender me when talking about past me. So that was about where they say stories about you, and because you weren't trans back then, they don't know if they should name you from now or before, and they kind of don't want to change the way they look at the past, which is bad. But the past you is still you. Okay, so I want to tell my story in the stream, but I didn't. After I came out to my mom, at first she was really unsupportive, but after a few days she tells me that she doesn't care that I'm trans, but she wants to make her proud. Whatever this means. And for my dad, I didn't really came out to him directly, but he thinks I'm a feminine boy and was like, that's a phase and you're gonna grow out of it. But I know these feelings are all because of social media. Just because there's more accepting places on social media, that's bad, right? No. Came out to parents a little while ago, and they're seemingly okay with it, though they don't understand it at all. As in, my dad thought I could get pregnant. What? Or that a lobotomy would untrans me? They also want me to come back to India. Extremely weird. Yeah, listen, I don't know anything about your parents, but I wouldn't go back. They're talking about lobotomies to fucking cure your gayness. Parents wishing for grandchildren creeps me out a little. Yeah. Even when I was a kid, I had my aunt always telling me, when you grow up to have these kids, it's like, I never wanted kids. But they always have these expectations that they throw on you, even at such a young age. Whether you be a man or a woman. They talk, when you get married, when you have kids. It's like, I don't want, sometimes people don't want that, and sometimes when you push them, that's why they don't want it. Sorry. Trigger warning: trauma. Came from a household where I got physically and emotionally neglected, struggling with self-harm and depression. And when I came out as trans, not sure what to expect. I lost my home and family in an instant. My mom called me a monster, and my dad literally gave me a week to move out. An internet friend from another country rescued me, and I moved there. It was scary, and I felt unsafe. Authorities asked me why I'm here, and it felt so difficult to explain or talk about my situation without feeling like I'm trauma dumping on a total stranger I just met. Been suffering for years, and now I finally got diagnosed with CPTSD, which explains a lot. Yeah, I feel ya. I lived away from my family for a few years because we're not close at all, but was forced to move back in because of my circumstances. Surprise, surprise. No one in my family makes any effort to gender me correctly or use my name. So infuriating trying to explain to my mother what being trans means, and it's okay to be trans. I've used logical, emotional, even religious reasoning. I'm not religious, but my family is, and she still says it's wrong, but won't provide a reason. Like no respect, no empathy, no love. Gag me with a spoon. think religious people would know anything about empathy. Sometimes it's just a way to hide their true morals. Sucks for me to have to say this, but I don't think I could ever come out about who I am. This is because there is a particular issue over temper with the males in my family. As sometimes things can set them off real badly, thereby leading to high levels of aggressiveness that isn't otherwise present normally. So I'd rather not say anything over the concept of me being both a boy and a girl, or how I'm intersex or androgynous, lest I catch wind over one of these kinds of storms. This is not to say I couldn't really be accepted for who I am. More so, the risk is just simply too great for me to openly state it directly than to just let it bloom out naturally over time. So despite my feelings of wanting to get anxiety over, it's done with sooner rather than later. I'm not about to just tell them because I'm too afraid of what might happen if I do. Which really sucks because I know I just have to wait and hide everything until it naturally comes out, where it's most likely to be accepted, rather than just tell everyone now to get it over with, despite what might happen from doing so. I am deeply sorry about this, but I just don't want to take the risk of harming myself by trying to help myself like this. But regardless, I love you all and wish you the best in life. And may you have a wonderful rest of your day. Also, hugs to every last one of you because you deserve it for just being you. My heart goes out to anyone facing rejection or hostility from family members simply for being their authentic, true selves. I can understand why some people have to cut off contact rather than dealing with the constant negativity. Though I am not trans myself, I have to say here that I support the community, especially now, given all the stuff that's going on in the world against trans people. Myself, I came out as bi to family and friends back in 2023 after some major upheaval in my life. And I genuinely did not know how that was going to go. I was so nervous, worrying about what was going to happen. After coming out, it ended the relationship I was in, so I had no reason to worry. My mom's response blew me away. She already knew and had suspected since I was about 19. Complete acceptance was not on my list of expectations that day. And then there was the small matter of explaining it to my father. My mom did that, and he actually took it very well. Once again, my heart goes out to anyone who has intolerant, bullying parents. Thanks for being so honest about your own experience. My mom was unwilling to support my gender expression as a child. I started doing what I was told because I didn't want her to be upset. She spent the rest of her life trying to tell me how I was so handsome and such a good man. I never liked those comments, like nails on a chalkboard, and she knew it, but she was my mom. I miss her every day. I wish she had been more supportive about me being trans out, but I'll keep moving forward. I've never understood what the big deal is. Like you said, it's really sad that all of these are considered such a big deal to people that they need to be worried about being disowned by their parents. Even coming out as bisexual, technically pan with my parents, was met with skepticism, and frankly, I don't know how to feel about that. It was the usual stint about how I met people who were bi, but they got married. I essentially had to come out a second time to them months later. Even then it kind of felt meh. I haven't even dared to tell them about being non-binary. I don't think they'd disown me, but I don't know how they would or wouldn't accept me. And that's not even counting my brother, who seems to be much more conservative. Watches quite a few Nazis on YouTube. But if shit hits the fan, I'll unfortunately just have to cut them off, I guess. Yeah, I have an uncle. He's basically a skinhead now. And I mean, he's had a bad life. Like, he was divorced, went into drugs, like crack, and he came out like just a very hateful and angry person. And I don't think I'll ever see what he was like before then. Just found your content a few days ago. Thanks for sharing this. I finally made a hard choice to cut off my mom this week, and I'm glad I did it. For years, she's been repeating turf talking points, not to mask deeper bigotry, genuinely believing them. But with everything happening here in the UK, now it came to a head. I couldn't convince her that going after trans people was the point, and she genuinely thinks it's actually about cis women's rights. Hearing her do mental gymnastics to sympathize with bigots was the final straw. If she admits she was wrong, I'll talk it out with her, but I'm prepared for that to never happen. I have a friend I feel more comfortable saying I love you to than I ever have my family. That's the thing with these politicians. They want you to hate trans people, queer people, so you don't see them like raping the country in and out. Of course, they use women as a shield, like kids. You know, they did it to black people when they have rights, like, oh, the scary black man's coming for your woman. And then they did it with immigrants. And nothing changes, really. It's just all the same sick fuck talking points, just with a different target. And they get families, they break them up, and they brainwash people to be angry and bitter. And it's just upsetting. It's not even just a trans thing. I was really lucky that my big sibling already came out as non-binary, so I could watch how my parents react and adjust accordingly. Oh, that's fun. I'm sorry about what happened. Yes. There was this Linkin Park reference. I forgot what it was, but it was about pretending to be someone. I removed it. I should have kept it, but I didn't delete all the comments. I tried to keep the comments that were like story based, so I deleted a chunk that was kind of off topic. I should have kept that Linkin Park reference. Rest in peace. My parents reacted relatively well. My father was a bit in denial at first, but he came around on his own without me needing to push him. My mother just supports me despite not fully understanding what it means to be trans. And, like, why can't people do that? Just be supportive. Even if they don't understand it, why do they have to be so angry and hateful about things they don't understand? Like, if you don't want to understand, that's one thing, but not wanting to understand and she offered to come with me at my first endo visit, like 200 kilometers away. And I accepted because I was happy she wanted to be part of it. My sister is like my biggest ally, and she helped me a lot. I only had to endure one "you can't be a woman" because the stereotypical male thing, lol, joked the entire time. And I came out to them over a year and a half ago. Overall, I'd say I feel lucky. My grandma, 97 years old, had a sweet reaction. She was immediately worried, but not because she didn't want me to be who I am, rather because she was afraid of how the rest of the world would treat me. She did ask me a few good faith questions about the whole thing, and I tried my best to answer in a way that would be comprehensible to her, considering the kind of culture she grew up in. She was a girl during Italian fascism. Oh no. She hugged me after, and she's not one who usually makes great displays of affection. That's nice. See, sometimes it's happy stories. and I wish everyone had a happy story. My mother, thankfully, is supportive, but doesn't poke at the idea too much. She'll ask me something every now and then, like, did you change your girl name? It's changed on your email, and did you come up with it yourself? And thank goodness she does it so little, because I am awkward at talking about it in person. So not too bad. I definitely experienced a lot of gaslighting growing up from my family and friends and faculty. If I had been allowed to exist in an environment that was supportive of gender identity, I could have very well have had my egg cracked much sooner. Even though things these days aren't perfect, they are light years ahead compared back to the 90s and early 2000s when I was a kid. Also, yes, after my family found out I was trans, I spent the next month after that living in a hotel room. It broke my heart to know that I was rejected even by those that were closest to me. My dad disowned me at 18 because he saw I had long hair. Long before I knew I was trans. Jesus Christ, fucking people. I went no contact with him after that, even though it really hurt. When I finally knew, I was scared coming out to the rest of my family. Then one day I was filled with euphoria for how I looked at my mother-in-law's wedding. I posted a picture on social media and basically came out a second time and didn't care who saw it. My aunt saw it, sent it to my mom, and then my mom texted me to tell me how much she loved me, called me my name, and told me how happy she was to have a daughter. I cried for 15 minutes straight. I feel so incredibly lucky. I desperately wish everyone had this accepted. My aunt said, oh fuck. I didn't click read more. That's my bad. Shit. Well, we won't hear the last of that story. That probably is the only one I didn't do. Being accepting of sexuality is not my family's core problems. They just kind of are a lot. But one thing I'll never forget was how I had been planning to come out to my dad as bi. I was about to submit a college application and used the pretext of being unsure and nervous of personal information and asked him to check. There was a box for sexuality. I ended up bailing because as soon as he saw the trans option, he started laughing like, oh, I'm gay, what are these? Sorry, I have the sniffles. We're almost done. Story time. After I came out, and after the request weeks of having to explain every aspect of my identity, my family had a whole ass meeting without me, behind my back, to decide when to use what name and pronouns for me. They decided behind my back that when referring to me in the past, it was correct and fine to use my old name and call me a boy. I found this out months later, when they'd done it in front of me multiple times, outing me to random people and genuinely disregarding my request to call me the right thing. And I kept calling them out on it. Well, we all decided this was a good way to do it, so it's fine. Just fuck your feelings. You are an individual, you are ours, basically. And we get to treat you as such. I was going to make a comment going on my history, but I've talked about it so many times, so I'm just going to say you all deserve the best. Make sure you are taking care of yourself, Nyara, and everyone in the comments. That's nice. My parents weren't supportive and told me that I should not pursue anything or else their conditional love goes away and they wouldn't pay for uni. So I listened to them. I lost 2 or more potential years of being on HRT earlier because of it, but oh well. They're getting the no contact treatment because they were shitty in other ways as well. Big surprise. Yeah, sometimes, they're shitty. Not even just a trans thing, they just do terrible things to you. And that's really sucky to have parents like that. My family was cool when I thought I was bi, but as soon as I said I'm trans, it all fell apart. My mom was okay with it, but still stumbles with my name and pronouns occasionally. I don't have a dad anymore. I have a sperm donor I've got no contact with. It wasn't that big of a deal because I knew he was going to be like that for a long time. I've been on bad terms with him for years before coming out. I really hate when you have to say it. You love your parents. Your parents should know that your child is loving them. Yeah, I had a family member like that. Actually, two. Say Lily. Where they do awful shit to me. And then afterwards they go, you still love me, right? It's very manipulative. After I came out to my mom, she started actively referring to everything he did as male behavior. This includes buying expensive shoes or not being able to find things that have been placed in the wrong place. Like, genuinely, the most random things, because what I'm assuming to be refusing to acknowledge that she missed all the signs. Or maybe she's just passive-aggressive asshole. Unfortunately, my parents are actively trying to kick me out of the house because I'm trans. Once that happens, most likely mid to late May, I'm going no contact with them. I'm tired of their verbal abuse and transphobia. Guess what? It is for my mom that's hard to use correct gender or name. But they aren't bigot, just ignorant, thinking it's not such a big deal, and they're too old to remember changes after 30 years. Sometimes it can be hard for parents to accept them, and I want to make this clear. It depends if they still love you, and if they do come around. So you shouldn't, make quick judgments, but if they're, actively hurting you and saying mean things, more so than I know it's such a big deal, but you have to give them grace, and hopefully they come around. I appreciate your content as it helped me discover who I really am. This last week has been really rough because it felt like nobody understood me or took what I was saying seriously. But with my incredibly supportive best friend in your streams made me feel hope that I'm not alone. I will be forever thankful to you and your community. Yeah, I've had a terrible life. And when I came out as non-binary, I did it to my best friend. I only have one friend, and he's been there for the... Fuck, I'm crying. He's been there for me for a long time. And I really appreciate that. And now I'm getting crying because I'm just fucking talking. But yeah. I just wanted to go over these comments because it felt enlightening. It felt important. And it's something I wanted to share. And this is what this channel is going to be. Just sharing things I see on the internet or other things. I don't know what to do. I'm definitely not going to do what I did last time, which I just don't want to get into that. So maybe next time I'll show my projects or something like this, or go over a YouTube channel. I don't know. This is just a test. And I wish I could have paused the mic and unpaused it to get some water or stop my coughing fits. Because I start coughing when talking because I don't talk. This is really bad. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thank you, Nyara VT. I'll link her in the description in the video. And yeah, that's it.